Before he was co-CEO over at DC Studios, James Gunn worked for Marvel, writing and directing Guardians of the Galaxy movies for them. Hi, my name's Zach, and today we're going to rank all 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. You know what? Let's rank the holiday special in there as well. Before we get started, I started this YouTube channel because I cannot watch a movie without needing to talk about it afterwards. And if that sounds like you're in the right place, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, I want this to be a conversation, so be sure to comment down below your ranking of all 4 projects, Guardians of the Galaxy, that was brought to us by James Gunn. With all that out of the way, let's kick this off with number 4. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I personally think that this movie succeeds the most at being a send-off for James Gunn from the MCU. It's clear that in this movie, he's wrapping up the story that he's set off to tell back in 2014. He gives each and every character in this film a very satisfying conclusion to his storytelling of their stories. Of course, this movie tackles the origin of Rocket and gets the most deep and personal with the character than we've ever gotten to be with him in the MCU. And all of that stuff in this movie I feel works tremendously well, but at the same time, all the other things going on in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with the cast of Guardians going out trying to save Rocket, at times it does kind of feel like a point A to point B type storytelling. I feel like the jokes in here do fall the flattest of all of the Guardians films. There's a couple characters in here that, because this is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's got kind of the curse of being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where things happened in a previous movie that the director might not have wanted to happen for his movie. And that's the case here with Gamora, where it's pretty clear that James Gunn did not plan or want Gamora to be killed off in Infinity War. And now they've got a replacement Gamora from another timeline that Gunn has to wedge into the film and figure out how she works so Zoe Saldana can end the trilogy with the rest of her castmates.
That girl died, but then she came back. Came back a total dick.
And for me, that was the hardest wedge that's in this film, and I do think that Gunn had a little bit of a struggle to figure out how to make it work. Eventually, he does make it work. I think he ends the character's story at a pretty satisfying place, just like the rest of the characters. But I can't help but wonder what Gunn really wanted to happen with this character had the MCU not killed her off in Infinity War. In that way, this feels like the most compromised of Gunn's visions in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I still really like this film. I still really enjoy it. But even when I first saw it in theaters, I came out feeling like it was the weakest of the Guardians films. And I still feel that way, unfortunately, today. Which kicks off our top 3 with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And at times, I find that I like this one even more than the first Guardians of the Galaxy. The cast here just feel like they really click into their characters coming off of that first film. I feel like James Gunn's humor in this strikes me the hardest personally. There's so much abundance of jokes in this film that at times it can be a little overwhelmed with jokes, but the majority of the jokes in here make me laugh. So while I'm laughing, I'm having a really great time with this film. Another thing I really like about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is while it's not super heavy story driven, it's very character driven because Gunn goes deep into these characters' insecurities and traumas and pasts that he brings to light in this film a lot more, where you see how this adopted family of the Guardians of the Galaxy really does bring out the best of every single character in the Guardians of the Galaxy. We get a lot with Yondu and Rocket on a side quest going on with the Ravengers in this film, where I feel like those characters relating to each other bring a lot of heart to the film, as well as the through-line story of fathers and what is a father, and the whole bookend of Yondu and Quill, and how Quill accepts that Yondu was his father all along, the father he was searching for. I think the way that Gunn incorporates that into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is very well done.
You look like Mary Poppins. Is he cool? Hell yeah, he's cool. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
Kurt Russell in here as Ego the Living Planet. Granted, he doesn't have much to do for the first 2 acts of the film. you could even argue doesn't have much to do in the third act of the film. But I enjoy Kurt Russell's performance, and I think that he works very well within the story for the themes that James Gunn is trying to tell about fatherhood. I think it's a gorgeous looking film. I love the action sequences. I love the color grading, the color palette in this film. There's a couple of James Gunn mean-spirited moments in here that may not work the best in the MCU or even in a Guardians film, but for the majority of this film, this is a Guardians sequel that I was hoping to experience after I watched the first Guardians of the Galaxy back in 2014. And right here is where I'm going to put the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. And this special isn't breaking any new ground. It's just a fun romp around the holidays with the Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn decided to shoot this while making Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so the whole cast is in here. We've got sets from Volume 3 in here, and this is just a joyous, fun, lighthearted, tight 40-minute adventure, mostly with Drax and Mantis going to get Kevin Bacon as a Christmas gift to cheer up a depressed Peter Quill. It is full of James Gunn's quirky humor, quirky sense of the holiday spirit, but yet still has the holiday spirit infused into it. This special also did a lot for the characters of Drax and Mantis, where when they introduced Mantis in Volume 2, Drax kind of just picked on her the entire movie. I personally thought it was pretty funny, but a friendship wasn't really developed until you saw them in the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, going on this adventure, going to LA together. Dave Bautista and Pom Klementieff, they really get to showcase their comedic abilities, they get to showcase their talent, while also having fun moments with Rocket and Groot and Peter Quill in the background going on. There's also a pretty big nugget dropped in here of Mantis being revealed to be Peter's sister, which brings a wholesome family moment in this special that kind of just completes that Christmas spirit. James Gunn is also able to do his soundtrack thing that he does with all of his movies, where he's able to kind of bring obscure music to the forefront. There are Christmas tunes in here that I never heard of that are now on my Christmas playlist for every holiday season. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is just a really fun time and is a must-watch going forward for me every holiday season. But that brings me to my personal number one, and that for me is Guardians of the Galaxy, the MCU game changer that James Gunn brought in 2014. And it's really funny to think back to when Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out in the landscape of the MCU. The MCU at that point felt like it could do no wrong, and then here comes James Gunn wanting to introduce a talking tree and a talking raccoon in a space opera type film. Everybody was confused. Everybody was scratching their heads. How on earth is this going to work in this grounded, real-world feeling Marvel Cinematic Universe? And then they went out and casted Chris Pratt, who was not a household name by any means. He was on Parks and Rec on, I think it was ABC Primetime TV. You got a wrestler who wasn't really known for acting with Dave Bautista. There was a lot of weird elements that it seemed like this movie was going to be Marvel's first flop. And then the movie came out and just blew everybody away with just how fun and refreshing it was, not only to the MCU, but to the comic book genre, where James Gunn takes the magic that he is able to infuse into ensemble films and just makes you fall in love with this misfit cast of characters. It is so funny. James Gunn's humor in this, being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, works so well, while at the same time telling a very compelling story of these misfits in this huge galaxy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you've got the Kree Wars going on in the background. It becomes a prison escape film at one point, but at the core of the movie is a story about found family that James Gunn just is able to do so well. He brings colorful characters to the screen, makes you fall in love with them, and he did it for the first time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and for me personally, because this is my first experience with James Gunn as a filmmaker. This is the very first James Gunn movie I ever saw, and the minute the credits roll, I knew that this was a man who was a director I was going to love for quite some time if he was able to keep this kind of thing up. And, fortunately for us, he was. If you like content like this, I got more Marvel rankings right up there that you can check out. Right over there is the most recently uploaded video to the channel. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't just watch movies, talk movies. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.